I dare to take a break from the stunning revelations from yesterday's impeachment hearings because we have yet another important, shocking, but not altogether surprising data point in the possible cognitive decline being experienced by the president. And every week it seems more and more clear that something is very, very wrong. Early last week, I told you about this book called A Warning, which is written by a senior Trump staffer. And many of you speculated that the staffer might be Kellyanne Conway. We don't know. I don't have any news about that as far as it goes. But we heard through a Washington Post preview last week about some of the concerning cognitive decline related allegations that were being made about Donald Trump, regularly slurring and stumbling around at the White House and other allegations. We now have more detail out of the book, and it is even worse than we imagined or have been told up until now. So to catch you up, we already knew that this book, A Warning, says, quote, he stumbles, slurs, gets confused, is easily irritated, and has trouble synthesizing information, not occasionally, but with regularity. But another element to this is Donald Trump's memory, and these allegations actually mirror some public-facing events that we saw. I'll explain what I mean. Staffers who deal with Trump regularly are saying that they noticed that the president, quote, also can't remember what he's said or been told. Americans are used to him denying words that have come out of his mouth, according to this senior official. Sometimes this is to avoid responsibility, but it often appears Trump genuinely doesn't remember important facts. So when we see Trump lie in public, we assume it is merely a deliberate lie. This book portion at least suggests that Trump might genuinely not remember saying the things that he says and then denies. Now, I do have a word of caution here, because on the one hand, this would explain a lot. But on the other hand, I'm hearing from more and more of you who believe that the unplanned hospital visit, the stuff about cognitive decline in this book, that it may all be building a setup for Trump to gracefully exit the presidency, avoid losing re-election, avoid impeachment. So the idea is start a pretext of some kind of cognitive or physical decline, which would allow Trump to simply not run for re-election and maybe better position Mike Pence for the presidency in 2020. I have no idea, truly, what's going on other than the obvious, which is something is very much wrong with the man. There's an example which you might remember. Remember this. There was a time a few months ago where we had a hurricane. Hurricane was headed our way. It was a Category 5 hurricane. And I reported to you at the time that Donald Trump said this really bizarre thing. He hasn't even heard of a Category 5 hurricane. Who's even heard of that? That's crazy. And we thought it was weird because it's not just that most adults have heard of Category 5 hurricanes. Trump, as president, presided over numerous Category 5 hurricanes. The author of A Warning argues that Trump genuinely had no recollection of that. He had no memory of the multiple Category 5 hurricanes during his presidency. And when he was told this is a Category 5 hurricane a few months ago, it sounded new to him. That is not good, okay? If that is the explanation, something is very, very wrong. And, we started to see strange things before the election. Clearly, it's gotten worse and worse since. And these things can ramp up pretty quickly. It's not funny. It's not sad, but it poses a national security threat. And of course, if there is a cover up of this going on, that is also extraordinarily problematic and disturbing. More and more, the question is, if the decline continues, how will Trump be doing by the time of the debates with the eventual Democratic presidential nominee? Will he hold it together? Will it be evident that something is very wrong on a national stage? Will they try to limit the duration or number of the debates? We don't know yet. We don't know the trajectory. We don't know the specifics of what's going on, but people around Donald Trump are noticing. We're hearing this from a whole bunch of different sources. And at this point, it's difficult to deny that something is going on. And, it's not, any of this stuff is not anything to make fun of. If it's a drug problem, that's an illness. That's not something to make fun of. If it's cognitive decline, that's not something to make fun of. If there's some kind of physical health issue that warranted that visit to the hospital, none of this stuff is to make fun of anyone. It's, as voters, we deserve to know what is going on. And if there is a proactive effort made to obfuscate, then that is something that must be stopped immediately. We will see what we learn in the next week, 2 weeks, next month, who knows? One of today's sponsors is a game called Dump Trump, which you can play for free on desktop as well as iOS and Android when you go to davidpakman.com/Trump game. That's where you'll also find the hilarious merch that they offer, which you can get for 10% off when you use the code Pakman at checkout. Dump Trump is a game where a nefarious man named Ronald Dump is trying to kidnap your cat. It's wacky, but it's hilarious. And the point of the game is to find creative ways of keeping Ronald Dump from grabbing your cat. You understand what I'm saying, right? It's an action-packed collection of 45 different mini games. Nearly all of them have some political theme related to the current administration. Every mini game, the only way to win is to stop the orange antagonist. The game itself is a ton of fun, but maybe the best part about it is that when you first open the game, you get to choose which 2020 Democratic primary candidate you want your proceeds to go to. And every time you play the game, a portion of the revenue that comes from in-game ads and any in-app purchases will go to the 2020 Democratic candidate of your choice. And as part of this promotion they're doing with us, they'll be giving an additional 25% to your favorite candidate. Maybe you support Bernie or Warren or Andrew Yang. Regardless of who you're pulling for in the Democratic primary, you can send small donations to your favorite candidate just by playing this game. And it is a game I think you'll have a lot of fun with. It's called Dump Trump. You can play it for free on desktop or on your phone when you go to davidpakman.com/Trump game. And when you go there, you can also save 10% on Dump Trump merchandise when you use the coupon code Pakman at checkout.